This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
Dreamcast, up to 6 billion players.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
Why don't we play together?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.
We're doing this again, guys. We're jumping in again. We're doing another DreamPod, apparently. Hello, welcome to episode 40... Oh, what is it, 48? 47. Brilliant bit of research on my part. You're listening to episode 47 of the Dreamcast Junkyard DreamPod. My name is Tom, and I'm joined by three exquisite co-hosts. I'm joined by Mike Phelan. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Tom.
I'm joined by Caleb. Hi, Caleb.
Hello.
And we're also joined by Ross. Hello, Ross.
Good evening.
Good evening. Of course, you are... Right, let's just get this out of the way now. You're in Japan, Ross. What time is it where you are?
It is 10:13 p.m.
Excellent. And Caleb, you're in the United States, and what time is it where you are?
It is 8 a.m.
Wow, early start for you and a late one for Ross. It's approximately 1:15 in the afternoon here in the good old UK. I live quite close to the Lush factory. Do you know, do you guys know what Lush is, yeah?
Yeah, they've got them in the malls in Japan now. Lush.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the shop that smells of like Willy Wonka's factory when you walk past. They actually make that stuff not too far from where I live, and I can smell it now. It smells really nice. Just sort of let you know, the smell-o-vision and all that, for the podcast, for those people at home listening. We have an excellent podcast for you today. We've got quite a lot of news to get through. We've also got some questions and talking points from our lovely Facebook group members, which we will come to later. But before we get to that, let's begin as we always do and talk about some of the games that we maybe picked up or some of the things we've been playing on the current gen of the Dreamcast. Mike, I'm going to come to you first and ask what you've been doing in the intervening week since we did our last podcast.
I've been doing quite a bit, Tom. I've picked up a PSVR.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I've been playing that until last week when I got some motion sickness. Which wasn't good, but it's a fantastic device. And I've also been picking up lots of Japanese Dreamcast games. I got a big delivery from the guy who runs the Japanese Dreamcast Collector blog, which is a fantastic blog.
It is, yeah.
Details massive amounts of information about releases, which I've never seen before. And he sent me loads of games, and some of the sort of slightly more pricey ones, things like Blue Submarine #6, the Sengoku Turb second game.
I didn't even know there was a second one, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a bizarre title, which I can't even remember the title now. Fan I Love Double Entendre or something. This is weird.
Isn't it more like a weird like spin-off kind of thing, kind of like Christmas theme and that kind of like? Isn't it a full-blown sequel, is it?
I thought it was a sequel. I thought it was like a proper... I'm not sure. I haven't played it yet, to be honest with you. I know it's weird. I know everyone who's played it, so it's completely weird. But so I got a massive load of stuff with that. He even sent me some sample covers, because I know he does lots of things on the blog about the sample covers, that I'm guessing are the ones that are in the retail outlets. And got some of them. So yeah, lots of stuff.
Cool. Okay, Caleb, what have you been up to?
I just ran the latest tournament at the Manchester City Library.
How many tournaments have you done this year so far? Because you do them quite regularly, don't you?
I've only done the one, actually.
Right.
And I'm planning for another just regular video game day, which is not just a proper tournament, but just a chance for people to come in and play the old systems.
Do you take your own systems into the library and let the public come and play them? Is that right?
Yeah, for the most part. There's other people that offered up to have their systems in, but it's mostly my own stuff. I got the old Darth Vader version of the 2600. I don't know the proper name of it, but it's the black one. And then the Dreamcast, which was a big hit, and Bomberman Online or Bomberman Live. That was actually a big hit because the 4-player version of that actually it was pretty fun.
Have you picked anything up recently?
No, but I am waiting for a Kickstarter game, which we'll talk about in a later segment. I'm struggling over that, but I really just have not had a chance. There's a couple games that I saw in local shops, so it's a little bit better than the area that I was in before, but it's just so difficult to find any good deals anymore with Dreamcast stuff. So, yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Caleb. You know, the Oscars are, I believe they're tonight. That's going to put this podcast, going to date this podcast, but the Oscars are tonight. You know the film Manchester by the Sea? That's not based on the Manchester that you live in, is it?
I really don't know. I assume not.
It's certainly not based on the one that I'm from.
The one I'm from is landlocked as well, so I'm not sure what that would be about.
Maybe there's obviously more than two Manchesters then, clearly. But yeah, we're getting off topic. Ross, what have you been doing?
Nothing Dreamcast, but I've been playing a few related games. Ryuga Gotaku Zero, or Yakuza 0 for PS4, and that's a fantastic game in my opinion. So far, I've only played the first chapter, but it's very quick to get into the storyline. There's like no messing around, straight into the action. It's really good fun.
I've seen some fantastic like GIFs or whatever you want to call them online of like the main like protagonist spinning around, holding a motorcycle, smashing people in the face with it. That was kind of sets the whole scene really for that game.
It's completely over the top and crazy. One of the first things you do is go into a bar and do a karaoke minigame, and so it's really, really weird, but really good fun.
Yeah, I watched the. Do you ever watch Angry Joe on YouTube?
Yes, I saw his review. Very positive, brilliant, wasn't it?
It was hilarious. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. And it sounded like the way he was talking, it was as though he hadn't played a Yakuza game before. So it's a good time to get into it right now. We're on 0 because it's quite. I mean, I know they're going up to like 6 now, aren't they? So it's kind of. I know you apparently can just go into 6, but I wouldn't really want to. I'd want to start from beginning. So perfect time now for anyone who's.
Let me tell you something too. This is actually I wanted to talk about this, but I forgot. With my own hubris, I had a mint copy of Yakuza 2, right? So I never finished playing 1 and I never opened 2 because Yakuza 2 on the PS2 was so dang expensive. Like it was creeping up to like over $150 for a sealed mint copy. So my plan was to say, okay, well, I don't want to like open this because, the game's going to be worth $200 pretty soon. And so I didn't want to play it. And then guess what happened? Somebody printed more. Yeah. So there's this big reprint. So all of a sudden, my copy is kind of useless because there's all these $40, $50 copies out there now of the brand new game.
Is there no marking or anything that distinguishes it from the reprint?
I haven't looked into it, but the reprint, I think, looks pretty much exactly like the original run. So I don't think my copy is worth $200 anymore.
That'll learn you. That's what you get for hoarding.
Yeah, well, it's this hubris thing. Like the video game market, so many people are in the same thing where they don't play games because they're, oh my God, it's just going to be worth so much money. And it's just, in these days, you can't really depend on that anymore. Things can get re-released. So yeah, I think
that's a 200 yen game in Japan. It's like $2 is pretty much worthless. I don't know about the power value, but I don't think it's that rare in the UK or Europe, is it? I don't think so. I'm not sure. It must just be the American run.
£20-30, I think, last time I checked.
Oh, is it? Okay. It's not cheap then.
Yeah. But, Yakuza 1 was great, but I think I'm actually going to start and play through Yakuza 3 and then just do, all those in order.
Well, Yakuza 3 does have a really good, it's like, I think it's maybe getting on to an hour long, has like a recap of Yakuza 1 and 2 right at the beginning, so that would help anyone get up to speed. And secondly, it's a bit of news. I wanted to write a quick blog post on it, but I kept forgetting. I think we've overlooked it. Well, it's not really that big news, but there's been a PS4 Pro update for Res.
Oh, really?
So now you can play it in native 4K, and I've played through that today in 4K, and it's beautiful. Especially the Area X, the new area, but even the old one looks great because it does use textures, of course, but in Res there's a lot of just like solid colors and like it looks almost like vector graphics, so it does really suit the 4K despite the textures that are there are obviously not drawn with 4K sets in mind, but it still looks beautiful.
I do go on the PlayStation Store quite often on the PlayStation 4, and I haven't actually seen Res Infinite advertised yet. Is it even available to buy yet, or is it still? It is.
I bought the physical copy, and that came. It got delivered to my house in the UK, and I got impatient So I bought the digital copy in Japan as well. So
I know you had some issues with the box getting damaged in transit. I remember that, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure it had been released to the general.
But you know what? It's very strange. My mum. Well, sorry. Anyone who doesn't know what the full story. Basically, I got a physical copy of Res Infinite from what are they called? 8-Bits? What's the name of them again?
I can't remember.
The company made 8-Bit something or other. I can't remember. Anyway, and it arrived with a seal that broke, but not only the seal broke, the actual cover was ripped as well. So I sent loads of emails to them, and they ignored them. And then Tom posted some tweets on their Twitter account, and they did get back to me. And I contacted them, and then they didn't get back to me. And then the other day, my mum sent me a message saying, "Oh, Res just arrived." So I think they've sent me another copy, but I'm not sure if they sent me another copy or if they've just sent me a replacement case. I didn't ask her to open it. So
interesting.
Yeah.
On the subject of speaking to people via email and getting replies, I remember maybe about a year ago, I emailed the Goat Store about my pre-order of Slave because I obviously I'd moved house and I wanted to let them know that I'd changed the address, and I never heard anything. And then I got an email yesterday saying, "Oh, sorry about the lack of response. We must have missed your email, but we've updated your account now."
They missed about 5 of mine.
Oh wow, you're going to start Ross off now, I think.
No, Ross, you're back.
No, I got my money back from them, so whatever. But it took a long time, a lot of effort. It shouldn't have taken so much effort.
Just on the subject,
there you go.
So on the follow on from what Ross says, I've been playing Res on the PSVR.
That's the best way to play it by far.
It's amazing. It's lovely. It completely rejuvenates my sort of love for the game. Fantastic.
It is fun. It does, if anything, it makes the game easier.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Because you can turn right around. Because like when the target, when it's on the screen, you can move it around quite fast. But when you try to turn your character around, it's very slow. But with the PSVR headset, you can just quickly look back, look left, look right, and pick up all the enemies.
You know, when you said that, then did you actually turn around? Because the way your voice went, it sounded like you actually moved away from the microphone.
I may have done.
That is what you call full reactive eyes entertainment podcasting. Cool. Anything else you want to mention, Ross, before we move on?
That's it.
Cool. All right, I'll just quickly run through. I've been playing, again, still on The Witcher. That game is just amazing.
Yes.
The Witcher 3 on the PS4. I also managed to finally complete Uncharted 4, which, if you've not played that game and you don't know anything about the ending, I won't spoil it here, but just to say it's probably one of the best endings of a game I've ever come across. It was just so emotional and fantastic. What an amazing end to an amazing series.
Yep.
Finally finished Layers of Fear, which is that kind of jump scare heavy, kind of almost PT-esque horror game for the PS4. And on the Vita, I've been playing a game called Uncanny Valley, which is kind of like a 2D pixel art version of Silent Hill with like loads of like weird alternative endings and whatnot. I did a review for Retro Collect, so check that out if you want to.
What was your opinion on that? Because I saw the general consensus is that it's not that good, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's more style over substance than most games of that ilk. It's intriguing, but it's not done in the best way. It's quite a short game as well, even though it's got multiple endings. You can play through the entire thing in about an hour and a half. Depending on what you do in the game will depend on what ending you get. And it just seems that there's quite a few glitches in there as well that can actually break the game. Like you can miss things that you're meant to pick up, or different cutscenes will start, or do you know what I mean? It's just very bitty. I don't really know how to describe it other than that. I mean, there is a bit of fun to be had from it if you like that kind of horror aesthetic, which I do. But yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's the tenner. It's worth playing if you're looking for something on the Vita or the PS4. I think it's out on the Xbox now as well. But yeah, it's all right. Dreamcast-wise, I've only really been playing on a game called Silver, which is an RPG. It's RPG light, like real-time combat and easily digestible storyline. Yeah, it's quite good fun. I like it. The only thing I've picked up recently is the dance mats for the Dreamcast. I got Dance Dance Revolution second mix with a couple of dance mats, the unofficial dance mats, for £1 on eBay with free postage. So I literally paid £1 for this whole set. I haven't actually hooked them up yet and tried them, but I intend to very soon. And yeah, that's all I've really picked up, to be honest. Money's been a bit tight, recently, so I've not really been spending a lot. However, before we move on to the next section of the podcast, we can't ignore the fact that there is a big console release coming up in the next couple of days, and that is the Nintendo Switch.
Dreamcast 2?
No, not the Dreamcast 2, it's the Nintendo Switch. Has anybody actually ordered one? I might have asked this before, but has anyone got one on pre-order?
First console since since the Game Boy Advance, maybe, that I haven't... No, I did buy the Game Boy. One of the first consoles in a long time that I haven't pre-ordered for launch date.
My opinion has changed a bit on the Switch. Initially, I was kind of like, what's the point? But now, I mean, I've seen loads of like video reviews and like first looks and unboxings and things, and I do like tech, I like gadgets, and I'm thinking, yeah, it looks like quite a cool thing. Eventually, when some more games come out that I actually like the look of, maybe I'll be in the market for picking one up, because I am looking to like kind of get rid of a lot of retro stuff. So when I sell some retro things, maybe I'll put some of the money towards getting a Switch, because it does look like a cool item.
Yeah, I've not got a big problem with the actual hardware, but except that the power of the system is really, well, it's supposed to be more advanced than a Nintendo Wii U, but so far we've not really seen anything on the system, and even the videos of Mario Odyssey and stuff, it doesn't really look like anything my Wii U can do, so it kind of, there's a bit of a sour taste in my mouth that the only reason it really exists is because they've stopped supporting the Wii U. I mean, all the games they're going to continue making for it for the foreseeable future for the Switch could be on the Wii U, except Nintendo decided to abandon it. So there's that, and then there's also the big hitters are all like Wii U games. I've got a Wii U, so Zelda, Mario Kart, Splatoon 2 doesn't really even look like a sequel. It just looks like Splatoon plus an add-on or something. The first game that I'm even remotely interested in is Mario Galaxy, and that won't be out to the end of the year, so I may consider buying one at that point, but right now I just don't see the point.
Yeah, I want to physically see one before I consider buying it, because I got a suspicion it's going to be like the original Wii all over again, where the controller is going to be this teeny tiny thing that I'm going to feel like I'm going to break whenever I use it. Yeah,
I want to get hands on it just to see, feel how it feels like weight wise and all that kind of thing, and get a good feel of it. Yeah.
Right now, I don't have any. I never got one of the newer consoles, so I'm heavily, I'm leaning towards just getting a regular PS4 Slim as my console of choice. Yeah. Because the prices are going down so much, and there's actually like a couple games I want to try out now.
With the Switch, I look at the Joy-Cons or whatever they're calling them, and they appear to have like a kind of a rubberized feel, and I just want to get my hands on one and just give it a good...
It's £70 for a pair, they are.
Yeah, well, the ones that come with the actual system. Did you see that thing about the ones that were on that video that was leaked a couple of weeks ago, and then Nintendo came out and said, "Oh, they were stolen." Yeah, and the people have been caught. That was pretty. Nintendo don't fuck about, do they? They, when they want to keep something under wraps, they keep it under wraps. And if you go up against those guys, then good luck.
So, no D-pad either. That's a crime. What the fuck? No D-pads, and they're going to eventually have a virtual console with SNES and NES games and that, and you're going to be forced to use an analog stick. It doesn't make much sense to me.
Isn't that ironic that, doesn't the Pro Controller that they showed for that have a D-pad?
I think they're $80 a Pro Controller, or $70, something ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's just so weird that they have the patent on that really good controller for that, and these other companies have never had a good D-pad because of the patents, and then now Nintendo's primary controller doesn't have a D-pad. It's just so weird.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on from the Switch, and let's talk about the first topic of discussion. That is that there are not 1, 2, 3, or 4 games coming to the Dreamcast. There are actually 5. Well, they're not new games. They're all re-releases, apart from one, which we'll talk about in a second, and that is the fact that Rush Rally Reloaded is coming to the Dreamcast. If you've not played Rush Rally Racing before, it's a top-down rally game. It's kind of like Micro Machines or Skid Marks or something from the days of old. I really like Rush Rally Racing. You've got it as well, haven't you, Mike?
I have indeed.
Yeah, it's a really cool game.
It is.
The sort of semi-sequel, Reloaded, was actually released for the Wii after the Dreamcast game, and now it's been re-released again for the Dreamcast with a couple of new features and tweaks. There's a couple of new game modes in there. There's a slightly zoomed-out camera so you can see more of the road ahead, better, more solid frame rate in multiplayer mode. It just looks like a really cool addition to the Dreamcast library, really. And got to be honest, I've got the original, so the chances of me buying this one are quite slim. But for those people who maybe haven't played the original Rush Rally Racing, this is probably the best one to get because it's an improved version of the game. The game in the States, or rather the game which is being released as in a kind of a DVD box, is being handled by Senile Team themselves and through a number of different online retailers. The interesting news about this story is that there's actually a PAL version or a PAL boxed version coming out as well, which is being handled by a company called Josh Prod. You'd be forgiven if you've never heard of Josh Prod before. They have done re-releases in the past, mainly Neo Geo cartridges. They did one in collaboration with Visco, which was a re-release of the Neo Geo AES cart, Neo Drift Out. It was like a repro version with the blessing of Visco. And they are doing the PAL boxed versions of Rush Rally Reloaded. They're also re-releasing, I'm sure Ross will be thrilled to hear, Ghostblade and Ducks.
Yeah. I don't really know why they're re-releasing them. I had to sell. It took me about a month to sell my copy of Ducks on eBay, and I only got about 22 quid for it. So why? Like, if you look at the price of these games, they say 30 quid, but then when you add on the tax and the shipping, it's like over 40 quid. Why is anyone going to buy that when it's less than that to get it on eBay?
Well, we'll get to that in a sec.
Anyway,
the games that are being released are Ghostblade, Ducks, Alice's Mum's Rescue, which is apparently like a 1.5 version, which has got like new box art.
That game was 20 quid. New that game when it first came out. Hewcast was selling that for 20 quid. It's still about 20 quid on eBay.
And they've re-released it 3 times as well.
They've doubled the price.
Alice Mum's Rescue, it's only $2.99 on Android when it first came out. And it's like, people now, if they want to get the entire collection of it, you've got to pay like 150 quid just to get all the games. It's a bit... I like the game. But...
Well, let's
Tom.
Just talk about the games before we jump in and start steamrolling them all. So yeah, we've got Ducks, Ghostblade, Alice in Mum's Rescue, Rush Rally Reloaded, and also the big one that people are getting excited about is this one called Breakers, which is a Visco fighting game that was released for the Neo Geo some time ago. It's been re-released or released for the Dreamcast. It's a specially cooked, inverted commas, version of the AES for All emulator with this game on there as well. It's been done by, I don't know how you pronounce his name, is it Chewy? Or he works for Retro Summers, and he's the guy who actually created the AES for All emulator in the first place. So it's got some good, some caliber behind it, shall we say. And this is getting a release in a PAL case with a booklet and a printed disc. The most interesting thing about this, though, is that Visco themselves have actually given permission for Josh Prod to release Breakers on the Dreamcast. So that's interesting. And it also makes it, it opens the door for other Neo Geo games or other games by Visco to be released on the Dreamcast with their own blessing, kind of thing. The one problem that a lot of people have mentioned is that the way that this collection of games has been offered for sale, they're only available on pre-order at the moment. The version of Rally Reloaded from Senile Team in the DVD style case is available to buy now. Just go to the website and you'll find the link. The PAL versions, the ones with the PAL box art, you can only pre-order them at the moment, and Josh Prod is using a French game sales website called Rush On Game, and apparently people have been having a lot of problems trying to pre-order it, and they're getting kicked off the site, and they're getting these messages like, this is a phishing scam, or do you trust this website? I'll be honest, I've had the same issues, and I did attempt to buy Breakers, or pre-order it at least. I got an error, and then the browser froze, so I just thought, right, I'm not even going to bother going near that. I don't know if any of you guys have actually been able to pre-order, or if you are intending to do so.
I'm going to attempt to, but if I run into any issues, because I register for the website and everything, but if I run into any issues, it's not important enough for me to deal with the headache. So
yeah. What about you, Mike? Have you tried this?
Yeah, I've signed up to the website. Same as Caleb, really. Just I haven't actually purchased anything yet until I know there's no problems. I think Scott has managed to buy some this morning, hasn't he?
Oh, is he?
Australian time this morning, so I presume that's last night. I can't remember which time it is.
I was going to ask you as well, Ross, but you had some issues with the pricing.
I went onto the shop. I wanted to order Rush Rally Racing. I've wanted it for a while. The price said €30, which is, I guess, with today's exchange rate, it's probably near enough 1-to-1 of a pound, isn't it? I don't know. But anyway,
yeah, roughly. Yeah.
As I clicked and added it to my basket, went to the next stage, and it added tax, and then the shipping is like, it was the shipping alone was like $12, which I find quite strange because I often send things from Japan to the UK, and it costs about £2 for like a Dreamcast sized disc. It'll cost me about £2 if it's not signed for delivery. Understandable, they want tracking. Tracking costs me about £3.50. So, and that's all the way from Japan to the UK. So I don't know why from Germany to the UK it's like £10 or whatever it was plus taxes. The total was like over 40 quid, and I was like, I can't. 30 quid, like $29.99 was like just the price that seemed like, oh, okay, I could just about like justify that. But the other day I was on Amazon. I was going to pre-order that new PS4 game. I forgot what it's called. Horizon
Zero Dawn.
Zero Dawn, yeah. And that was £45, and I took one look at it. And I was like, nah, £45. I can't do it. I'll wait for it to go in price. So I wouldn't pay £45 for Horizon Zero Dawn. So I can hardly justify it for Rush Rally Racing, which is like a 8-year-old indie game on the Dreamcast. Is just, to me, it's just ridiculous. And
that was through the one that Senile Team have got on their website, yeah?
I think it was a German site. I'm not sure.
It wasn't Rush on Game, was it? That's a different thing. That's
So Rush Rally Racing's webpage and went to the shop, and they already had one link. They had one link there for it.
Yeah,
so.
no worries. Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Interestingly, you can buy Rush Rally Reloaded, the DVD case on Amazon.
Really?
German Amazon, I think. But the price there, because it's on the screen now, it's $39.90. So they've actually put the price
plus shipping.
Yeah. So you're looking at, I don't know if Amazon Prime would work from Germany if you got Amazon Prime. I think it would it?
Wouldn't pay that much anyway.
No.
I mean, I remember these games getting released, and Red Spot was selling them for about £25, wasn't it?
Yeah, very, very low prices, yeah. And then,
so I don't understand how, a bit of inflation or whatever, but the cost of development stuff's been done. I don't understand how the prices can go up.
And plus,
to like over £40.
We already have a really good example, Wind and Water Puzzle Battles on the Dragon Box shop, which is US dollars. That's $8.85 plus tax and shipping. I mean, we already have that as an example of somebody who was able to do that. So I'm not quite sure where the extra costs are coming from.
Yeah, Fruity was like less than a tenner or whatever, and you can't expect every developer to do like Fruity level of a good deal. But for a game that's already been developed, they've already done the hard work. Over £40 for an indie game. I understand it's on a physical release, that maybe justifies £10 or whatever. But if Rush Rally Racing was on Steam, it would struggle to sell many copies if it was £2 or something. So I don't understand where these like £40 price tags come. It's just taking advantage, in my opinion.
What I will say is we may discuss this a bit later on when we come to the questions section. So I just want to leave that one there for now with the pricing of Dreamcast games, etc. So yeah, that's all good news and everything. And obviously, it's always good to have new stuff coming to the Dreamcast, even if it is kind of in some ways a path that we've already trodden with some of these games. Also, just on that note, I believe Ghostblade HD is out this week on PS4 and Xbox One and Wii U. There's another game coming out very soon. We've all seen the pictures now on social media of the developers have actually had the product delivered to them, and that is Alice Dreams Tournament.
Ooh.
We've been talking about this one for years.
Yes. I was talking about this one when it was originally released as a side game on the Alice Dreams original game.
Yeah. Was it? What was it called back then?
Oh God, it had a name. Shoot, I don't know. You clicked on a little. You clicked on a little image of like a little Game Girl video game, and you got to play these little extra games.
Yeah, but it's been a long time coming. It's been a long time in the making, and now we've seen the images, and it's finally shipping. And I mean, the guys who are doing it, Nicholas and Julian, are really cool. I speak to them every now and then, mainly through their Kickstarter page, but they're really responsive. Again, I've changed addresses multiple times while this game has been in development, and every time I say, "Look, guys, I've moved again. Sorry,
yeah,
can I get my address updated?" They're like, "Yeah, cool." It's cool.
I did the same thing where I moved and I sent them a message, and I forgot that Kickstarter actually allows you to change your address through the Kickstarter website. But when I checked, they had already updated my address from my message to them. So good on them. They seem very responsive with stuff like that.
Yeah.
To be fair, they seem like an organised, like on-point company, like no messing around.
I'm very excited to see how this game sort of plays, and I'm really looking forward to giving it a good playthrough and doing a review really for the Junkyard, and just delving in and seeing how good it is really, because it looks good from the screenshots and obviously from the different. I like the way that they've been taking it to different gaming events around Europe and like letting the public basically play test it. And from all of the chatter on social media, people who've played it have had nothing but good things to say about it. So I do wish them all the best. And obviously, when the game is available for general retail, I mean, the initial batches will be sent out to people who backed it on Kickstarter. And I'm quite excited to see my name actually in the credits, because obviously that was one of the tiers that I funded it at. So yeah, after the initial batch has gone out, it will be available through the Alice Dreams tournament website for the general public to buy. It'll be interesting to see what kind of sales figures it makes, to see how big the Dreamcast community kind of really is, at the moment. I mean, the system's been getting a lot of attention recently in the main sort of mainstream gaming circles, just because it's one of those retro systems that seems to come in and out of popularity. But yeah, it'd be good to see what the sales are like really for that game.
I mean, with the person who does like tournaments, like in public stuff like me, like just another 4-player game out there. I mean, that's just it's just going to be very interesting to see, because I mean, obviously, I think from what I know of playing the original, mini game and stuff, I think this is definitely a game I'm going to be using for the tournaments and the video game days and stuff like that. And also too, I'm stuck because I have now there's the choice between the two artworks, and it's just I originally chose just the U.S. release, the North American artwork, but the Japanese / Zero Region one, it's just this I don't know, the little kind of chibi artwork on that one is just really nice. So I'm not stuck, because I have until March 1st or 3rd to change my mind about the artwork, and I'm not sure which version I want to get.
I think I went for the US one for some reason, but now I wish I'd gone for the PAL one. But these are the choices we make in life. Okay, cool. Right then, so that's 6 games I say 6 new games, maybe 2 new games and 4 re-releases coming soon. Right, let's move on to the next topic, and that is, when I can find my notes, I've moved too many windows around on my laptop screen now, so the professionalism is showing again here on the DreamPod. Brief chat about the whole Nintendo Sega buyout story. Right, for those people who are listening who don't really go and look at the blog, last week I published a story on there, which was something that I'd never heard of before, and I only discovered it because I was looking back through an old Nintendo magazine, an old Sega magazine. It was issue 19 of the unofficial Dreamcast magazine from Paragon Publishing, and I noticed a news story in there about something that happened in the mists of time, in the year 2000. Cast your mind back to the year 2000. Before we had smartphones and Wi-Fi, we just had magazines to get our news. Well, unless you had a really expensive dial-up connection on your Dreamcast, which I didn't because I wasn't allowed. And back in 2000, late December 2000, the New York Times, of all outlets, published a story that was along the lines of Nintendo are imminently going to buy Sega for the tune of $2 billion. And this kind of sent shockwave through the gaming circles at the time. And it eventually led to both Nintendo and Sega losing massive amounts of money on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, because nobody knew where this story had come from. And executives and all these other people involved in business were like, what? Like, nobody told us that this was happening. And this story came about from a story that ran on IGN some months previous to this, I hasten to add, where they were reporting on a press release that had come out of Japan that Sega were going to be making games for the Nintendo Game Boy Advance. And somehow this press release was mistranslated into English. And because of that, IGN reported that Sega and Nintendo were forming a new company that was going to be making Nintendo Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, I remember reading it at the time at school on a school computer. Really? Yeah, it was like a GameSpot or IGN. No, really. But it wasn't the only rumor. Nintendo weren't the only ones. There were a few different rumors and stuff online. I don't remember. It wasn't like confirmed or anything, but I do have a recollection of reading it on either IGN or GameSpot that Nintendo may be buying Sega out. Yeah, definitely remember it.
It's fascinating because it's one of those stories that you kind of remember and you think, oh yeah, we've heard that loads of times in the past. But then when you look into this particular story and find that there is actually factual evidence of this kind of like not fake news, but like misreporting of facts, alternative facts, I believe the correct terminology is these days. But the fact that it's all there, still on the Wayback Machine, and you can read it, and an outlet as big as the New York Times published this story, it's really fascinating to look back at this snapshot in time and see. I mean, the story is still there on the New York Times website. You can read it, but if you actually look at any other if you put a search in around that time that they published this story, and then in the weeks afterwards, there's not even a retraction or any kind of oh, sorry, we made a mistake. We're reporting a story that was from a games website that has actually been retracted itself, but we're not going to make an apology. And the reason why I find that quite puzzling is that Sega themselves actually put a statement on their website, on the Japanese Sega website, saying, we've heard about this report on the New York Times website. This has had a massive impact on our stock market trading value. We're not being bought by Nintendo. We don't know where this came from. We want an apology, basically, from the New York Times, to which the New York Times didn't even bother responding.
Yeah. I love Sega's official statement, because it's the most Japanese thing ever. They open it up by saying, well, Sega has always been fond of the New York Times' objective coverage of our company. We would like to express our concern over the fallacy that appeared on the...
Yeah. What's the date on the article?
The article on the New York Times was the 27th of December 2000, and then in early January, around about the 10th, is when this open letter from Sega went up on the Sega Japan website. But then if you search on the New York Times archive for any other reference to this article after that point in time, there's no retraction, there's no, oh, we apologise, we falsely or we incorrectly published this story that isn't actually based in truth. Nothing. It's just like, yeah, we published it,
that's
what?
Even way before Sega had even decided to stop producing the Dreamcast and everything. So no, I don't think I am thinking of that. I'm thinking of later on when there were rumours of Nintendo, Sammy, and Microsoft. There were all these different rumours of different people going to be buying Sega. But then it turned out to be kind of true, right?
Well, in the long run, yeah. I mean, but on this particular occasion, even the president of Nintendo came out and said, "No, we're not buying Sega. I don't know where you got this from." And if you want to see this story,
I don't know what you lot are all about. We ain't doing it.
Little
known fact: the president of Nintendo back then was actually from northern UK.
Oh, right, okay. If you want to read this story and actually look at all the different conflicting reports and whatnot, you can go to the Dreamcast Junkyard, and it's like the third or fourth article down on the main page. It might be a bit further down by the time this podcast goes out. But it makes for a fascinating read, and is a very interesting snapshot of how the media conducted itself with video games reporting back then in the early 2000s.
I'm so happy now that we don't have any issues with the media, and obviously now they treat video games with the proper respect they should, because it's basically the largest entertainment media ever. So we're so lucky that we don't have to deal with these weird problems like we did 17 years ago.
So true. So very, very true. Okay, guys, we're going to take a very, very short break, and then we'll be back after this with some questions from our lovely Facebook group. Back in a sec. Hello, we're back after the break. This is the Dreamcast Junkyard DreamPod. We're now going to answer some questions from our Facebook group. Okay, first of all, a couple of people just wanted to have shout-outs, because why the hell not? They asked so nicely, I thought, okay. So shout-out goes to Carlos Andre Cordoba. I hope I'm saying your name right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. Also one to Eddie Bogard, long-time supporter of the Dreamcast Junkyard. Eddie Bogard is no relation to the other Eddie Bogard, who stars in several SNK Dreamcast games. And he's also the guy who owns the Dreamcast SFL 2000 P1 control unit. That's the thing that looks like a VHS machine, but with no inputs on the front. That really weird, unusual piece of Dreamcast hardware that nobody actually knows what it's for or what it does. But it was actually featured in one of the Dreamcast end-of-year financial report booklets from Sega, and it's got a monitor on it with some fish on it. So take from that what you will. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just search for SFL 2000 P1 control unit, and you'll find the article on the Dreamcast Junkyard. So hello to those two guys. But also Daniel Quince, who's also in the Facebook group. He's 36 on Wednesday. So happy birthday, Daniel, you old bastard. Actually, I can't say much because I'm 35 next Saturday. So, that's depressing. Anyway, right.
This reminds me of the early 90s when, at the end of the children's programs on Channel 3, I think it was, they'd announce
birthdays.
Oh, happy birthday to so-and-so in Wigan
Yeah.
to Julie Bettersby in Wigan. She's
Yeah, it was
7
always Wigan.
today.
It was always Wigan or Stockport.
We've got some artwork here from a lad he's 5. He's 5 today. He's drawing
Can we
this nice
get
picture.
people to send in pictures of famous Dreamcast characters for next time, and we can describe them?
I'm not
we
sure.
Can describe them.
I was going to say I'm not sure how well that work on a podcast.
Tom,
but,
let's not discriminate. We've got to read out the descriptions of what they look like, and then we've got to guess what they are. It's like a little game as well. I think it's a game, yeah.
Okay, first question. Chris Hodgkinson asks, what do we think of the price hike in Dreamcast games recently? I know we covered this.
Does he mean new games or second hand or both?
Both. I think he went to the video game market that was held in Doncaster in the UK over the last weekend.
Well, that's a mistake. Right
Doncaster, that's a problem.
Yeah, he mentioned...
Don't go to those video game markets.
Well, yeah, he mentioned that there was a lot of scalpers there, people selling... he said he saw a copy of Sonic Adventure 2 for £35.
Of course. What is a scalper exactly?
Doncaster.
A scalper is someone who buys something to sell it on. You mean sellers? Yeah. You went to a video game market, and you're disappointed there were sellers there.
In Doncaster.
In Doncaster.
You've got to go onto eBay, play the patient game, and stick to auctions and just lowball until you get lucky and get it.
While we're at it, though, can I just go one thing? I wanted to make a point of saying on this podcast, what is with this idiot on the eBay who keeps on putting these repro games on? Now, if someone wants to buy a repro game of Cannon Spike or of Shenmue 2, fair enough. The prices are ridiculous. I've no issue with that at all. But there's this one guy who's now doing repro white label discs. What is the point? What is the point? He's basically doing, so you've got like Cannon Spike and you've got Evil Twin. The white label.
Oh, man.
A repro of the white label. That makes no sense. It's just a normal game.
But I imagine people buy this crap, so you got to partly blame the idiot. So I don't get it.
No, there are people on eBay now that they're literally selling the link to the download for emulators. Yeah. So there's eBay sales now where there's 1,000 retro video games, and it's literally just a Google Drive link where you go and you can download
people who don't know what about the white labels are basically the promos, the sort of the promo copies for PAL games. They have the exact same content as a normal game. So all you're actually paying for your collection is a disc which has a less interesting cover than the normal one. It makes no sense. And the thing is,
for some reason, everyone had a Le Mans 24 white label for some reason. I remember. I don't know why. Maybe you got one of them. That's what he's talking about.
But it's the same guy. Now that's sort of a ridiculous point. What does annoy me, whatever you think about the indie games themselves, they are starting to bring out repros of the indie games as well. Games that are still on sale. So I've seen Alice Mom's Rescue on there. I've seen Sternwind on there. Now that's just
Sternwind's not for sale, is it anymore?
Yeah, back on sale again.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, right. Okay.
Do you not read the Junkyard?
Too busy dealing with trolls on the group. It's odd. If people want to try and support Dreamcast scene, if you haven't got enough money to buy games, fair enough. There's no issue with that at all. But don't then pay £35 for a repro of a game which is on sale for $39.99.
Whoa!
Pay me £15 and I'll burn you a
35. It's the same eBay seller.
Just PM me $10 gifted to my PayPal account, and
I recommend everyone going on and searching. It's on the group as well. We've got a few links up to it, but I would search on eBay and have a look for this guy who's selling the repro games. He's got the best. He's
got back in 2008. I burnt hundreds of copies of just random stuff. I'm sitting on a gold mine.
But this guy's got the best. Every single one he posts, he put this massive rant about how collectors are the scum of the earth and how people who make reproduction games are like heroes. Yeah. He's selling £35 copies of burnt games. People, you can do it for free yourself. Don't get conned.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
You still have to pay for the blank CDs, but clearly, the price of those has gone down a little bit too. I was considering myself if $35 for a burnt CD. My God, I've got spindles of the things. I could retire. At this point.
It's for the case as well. I know that's.
On a disc rot now. The last time I looked at my burnt Dreamcast discs, they were all full of disc rot. Not disc rot.
Pretty much every 3DO game I've got is a burnt disc. But on that subject, Mike, I did look at eBay last night randomly, and I noticed there's a guy also selling. It might be the same guy actually. He's selling Mega CD repro cases, not the actual games, just the the box art and the box for like £10 a pop.
I don't mind that because I did on my Mega CD collection.
It would depend on the quality.
That.
It would really
kind of understand it.
If that's going to be a repro and it says repro on the label and the quality is really high, then I'm fine with that. Unfortunately, I am not fine, and this point was brought up on the CU podcast a little while ago. I'm not fine with this because all this stuff eventually goes
every 2 weeks.
All this stuff that people might know is reproductions. All that stuff is going to eventually go back into the market eventually somehow, and that's where the issue is. Like, I don't really care because the person buying it knows it's a repro, and the person selling it knows it's a repro. But once that person who buys it eventually it goes back into the market somehow, then we're going to be faced, with all these worthless things, which are fine for your collection, but it's just going to cause issues when people think later on that these might be the real thing.
As long as there's a demand for it, it's never going to end. Yes, so you've got to put a lot of the blame on the people who actually, for some reason, want a repro. I don't know why you'd. Why do you want it? Just so you can put it on your shelf and pretend? I don't understand.
Placeholders.
I don't get it.
Guys, one thing that I've noticed as well with the game, certainly with the Game Boy Advance, there's a lot of repros on eBay, and it's hard to tell the difference from a picture. It's only when you get it and then the battery backup doesn't work, or the thing is, you can pull it apart like just with two hands, you know what I mean, and it just falls apart in your hands. That's the things I've got an issue with. I think
those repros were made when it was contemporary in places like China or wherever. They're not made by people now. Which is equally as indefensible. But
I have a bunch different of video game music CDs, and I have no idea if they're legit or not because I got at the resale shop. I bought this huge collection of the Kingdom Hearts thing, the thing that has 20 CDs in it, right? And that ended up being a Chinese knockoff. And obviously, when at the shop, I couldn't tell that it was a Chinese knockoff. I thought it was the official thing. So now I have all these other soundtracks, and I have absolutely no idea if they are legit or if they are fake. So I can't sell them, and I don't know. It's a real pain.
It never happened to me until about 2 weeks ago when on Japan Yahoo Auctions, I ordered a cart-only copy of Sparkster, Rocket Knight Adventures 2, which is actually really, really valuable in Japan, if it's complete. So I saw a cart only. The resolution it wasn't what I'd call low resolution, but it wasn't super clear resolution. It looked like very good condition, and the label wasn't a repro label. The cart looked just like a regular cart. I thought I'll put a sneaky bid on there and see if it comes through, and it did. I won it for quite a low price, but still not pennies. It must have been $10, £10, something like that. And then it arrived in a package from China. So this Japanese guy, he was selling it. What's it called? AliExpress or something like that. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know where it's from, but it arrived and it was from China. And so this guy in Japan was basically selling repros, but he never even had them in his hands. People would win auctions, and then he'd just order it and put in their address, and it would come from China in a week's time. And I was looking at his feedback, and it was all positive. And he had sold Glay Lancer and all these ridiculously rare Mega Drive games, and the buyers didn't even notice. They were all leaving positive feedback. Thanks a lot. Da, da, da. And I got it straight away as soon as I took it out the box. Firstly, it was from China. That was the first thing that what's the word thing that made me realize there was something dodgy was going on. Picked it up, and it was lighter than
the plastic. The plastic is always much more brittle. It's cheaper plastic.
It probably was as well. You're probably right. But what I noticed was it was just lighter than a regular Mega Drive cart. I knew straight away.
We've gone way off topic, so I'm going to bring it back round again, and we're going to move on to the next question, which is from a guy called Stephen Robinson. You may know him from Dreamcast Hub. Yeah, he asks, can we discuss the D-Direct service and the items that were available?
No.
Of course, I love this. It's really interesting. The D-Direct service that he's talking about is it's got two names. You've got Dreamcast Partners and also the Dream Points Bank, and this is that thing. So if you buy games from Japan, Dreamcast games, when you open them up, generally all that tap falls out and you get those bits of paper that have a points valuation number on them. And basically what you could do in Japan was you could sign up for this thing called the Partners service, and you would get a card, and when you bought new Dreamcast games, you got this little piece of paper, and you could register the points that came with the game to your account, and then you could exchange the points for things like VMUs, controllers. There were like VMU pouches that you could put your VMUs into. I've actually got one here. It's the luminous orange one. There was the Casio Pocket TV that was branded with a Dreamcast logo.
Yeah. Do you keep a luminous yellow VMU pouch next to your PC, next to your Mac?
I've got a luminous orange Dreamcast pouch in my hand now.
All right. Oh.
Why?
I just you got it out for the podcast?
No, it was on the shelf next to the.
Okay.
No, the setup of his room is he has his VMUs within easy reach.
Yeah,
exactly.
In case he needs to play a Dreamcast.
Yeah,
obviously.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I've got it in my hand now. It's actually made of like weird kind of clear orange plastic with like a nice embroidered edge.
Today on the podcast, show and tell.
It's even got like a belt belt sort of clasp on it. So if you wanted to put your VMU on your belt, you can. What else was there on the the Dream phone? The Dream phone.
That's when it came. I knew it had come up recently on an article. I couldn't remember what it was. I think you sent me a link and was like, "What does this say?" You were asking me.
Yeah,
and it was something about that. Yeah.
So the Dream phone, and there was also the exclusive Mr. Yukawa game, which was tied into the whole Dream Points thing, where you could kind of win, extra. The interesting thing about the whole the Dreamcast Partners service, was the fact that you actually got a plastic card, like a bank card, with your name kind of embossed on it and a signature strip on the back. I don't know how you don't actually use it for anything. It was just to kind of say, you are now a member of the Dream Points card thing. Another bonus of being a member of the whole thing was you got the Dreamcast Express demo discs sent to you periodically, so you could get, an exclusive first look at, new games, demos, and that kind of thing. So in all, the whole service was quite good, really. We never got anything like that over here in the UK. There was nothing like that in the US either, as far as I know. Wasn't the Dreamcast alarm clock also involved in that somehow? The little Dreamcast alarm clock that I've got on the shelf over there.
If anyone's interested, if you go on to, I think it's Dreamcast Now forum. I can't remember the forum's called now. There's one. They've got a collector's thread, and I think it's BL, who's quite a big name in Dreamcast collecting. Has got a picture of all of the different stuff you could win. He's got a full collection of it.
Oh, really?
With the bike and the scooter.
Is that Dreamcast Talk?
You guessed it, Dreamcast Talk. That's the one.
Dreamcast Talk, yeah. Okay, let's move on. Thanks for that question, Stephen. Daniel Turner asks, can we look into the pros and cons of buying a George Foreman grill over a Breville? I think we've got
George. Now, here's the situation. I've been doing some research on this, and I've kind of looked in. The Breville grill, as far as I can see, is an Australian thing, I think. Do they have those in the UK?
We do.
Yeah, we do have Breville, yeah.
Okay, so it seems to be that they're always like this brushed aluminum type looking thing.
They are.
And let me tell you a little something about the George Foreman grill. The George Foreman grill is an American product. And as we all know, nobody grilled any food before America was founded.
True.
Okay.
So I have to say, as a person who's owned a George Foreman grill that he bought at a garage sale, you know, like the Wonder Bread that America has.
No.
Somebody had put a thing of Wonder Bread too close to this, and so the logo for Wonder Bread had been burnt into the George Foreman grill. And let me tell you something, folks. I got that at a garage sale for about $5, and that thing cooked so many chicken halves for me.
Now,
it was crazy.
Now you see, I have to say I've got a vested interest in this because I sell these things on a daily basis. Now there's many pros and cons to both sides. Being someone who doesn't consume.
No, here's the big thing too. Breville. Do they have a model that has the bun?
They have everything
because.
Breville, I see, this is the thing. Breville are a very upmarket brand, and I think they don't get the credit they deserve.
Wow.
All right,
what
are we talking about? What are we talking about prices here? Because I guarantee if you walk into any Goodwill or Salvation Army store, you can find at least 3 dozen George Foreman grills for about $5 each. And they're all going to work.
Yeah, we sell them for I don't know how much, to be honest with you. I don't really have much interest in them, seeing as I, would only ever grill, I don't know, an avocado on it. So I don't.
An avocado?
I don't eat meat. I don't eat meat. So what's the point?
Now wait a second. Okay, here, guys. We've been having a lot of fun today,
vegan
gentlemen.
Grill.
And I can put up with a lot, but I can't put up with somebody saying they're going to grill an avocado. What is this? Just craziness?
Look, okay.
Are we just insane?
I'm not
now?
even sure why I said.
What the hell is this podcast?
I'm not even sure why.
This is supposed to be a reasonable podcast.
Well,
calm down.
Calm down.
I would
we're talking about grilling
I would like to
avocados?
recommend not a bevel grill, not a George Foreman. I would say, sorry, what was the listener's name, Tom?
Daniel Turner.
Daniel, what you should consider buying is a Japanese yakiniku grill, because you can put this on your table, and as you're eating, you turn it on and you put expensive chunks of meat, or quite thin, expensive chunks of meat onto the grill, and you cook it as you're eating. You pull it off onto your plate, and it's more interesting than the regular meal. As I mentioned earlier, you're cooking, you're eating with friends. It's a good time for all. So consider getting a Japanese yakiniku grill.
Well, that escalated very quickly. I've also learned that Mike is a member of the bourgeoisie.
See,
and,
the bizarre thing as well is I was trying to think of a vegetable. I'm actually allergic to avocado. I'm not even sure what I said it for. It's like...
No, you don't need to make... No,
well,
you don't need to make any
asparagus.
excuses.
I mean, do you grill anything else except for, like, asparagus and eggplant? Like, that's the only things you grill.
I grill anything. I need to get,
Apparently you think you can grill avocado, so apparently you think you can grill
anything. Why not? Who's going to stop me grilling anything?
I guess just physics. I don't know.
To hell with physics.
Right. Famous right. Patrick Trainer asks, could you guys discuss the for matching service versions of the Japanese Dreamcast games? Now, the for matching service, I knew I'd heard the term, and I kind of knew it had something to do with online gaming, but I wasn't 100% sure what the actual terminology meant. So I did a little bit of research and says, Mike, you probably already know this, and probably the rest of you guys do as well. But the for matching service was a thing that was in existence only for Capcom fighting games, if I'm not mistaken. It was a kind of a bespoke Capcom service for the fighting games.
5 of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, only 5 of them. And you could play over dial-up with other people on multiplayer. Am I right?
Super Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Techromancer, Vampire Chronicles,
JoJo.
And
JoJo.
Puzzle.
JoJo.
Oh, JoJo as well?
Yeah.
Oh, 6
I think
then.
JoJo.
Puzzle Fighter and JoJo then, so 6.
Here's the question: was Vampire Chronicle was that ever released as anything else except for the matching service?
No,
just the matching service.
So my copy is for matching service, I guess.
Things like this and the what was it called again? The Dreamcast loyalty program, the
D-Direct.
Dream Points Bank.
Things like
D-Direct.
It makes me wish. I wish I'd lived in Japan a decade earlier when the Dreamcast was still contemporary here and been able to play all these games online. Oh, it would have been great.
When we actually talk about this kind of thing, obviously you've got little offshoot topics like the matching service. You've got the Dream Points Bank. It makes you realise just how much stuff there is to do with the Dreamcast out there, doesn't it? It's just that for a console that in air quotes failed, there was so much stuff to look at, and it's interesting.
Collectibles, online games, repros, it's all out there.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, hopefully that answers Patrick's question. Last question is from somebody we know quite well. His name is Chris Powell. He is the editor-in-chief of Sega Nerds, and he asks, can you tell us about how Sega is going to release Shenmue 1 and 2 HD because it was confirmed by some random site, by some random source who knows somebody at Atlas? I believe he's referring to a story that was on, I think it's ricedigital.com, where they
sounds very trustworthy.
They ran a
My
story.
uncle works for Atlas. Yeah, sounds like
nonsense. They ran a story very recently saying that somebody they know who works at Atlas has confirmed to them that Sega is working on Shenmue 1 and 2 HD collection, which should be with us this year, apparently. I don't know anything about that. I'm just reading the story off Rice. I think it's Rice Digital. I hope I'm not getting that wrong and blaming somebody else for this. But it is ricedigital.co.uk. So go and check the story out if you want to. I'll just type Shenmue HD into Google and you'll get the most recent stories on that subject. Got to be honest, Chris, I don't know. I'm sure the other guys here don't either. So what we can do is...
Sounds like cobblers to me, but it could well be true. It could.
Cobblers.
It could be a
the news
good
story
guess.
is probably not true.
Could be a good guess.
They'd be stupid not to, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's right.
It's Sega.
They've kind of gone quiet. Haven't they? There was a period about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when they were re-releasing a lot of the Dreamcast games on Steam, 360, PSN, and then that's kind of quietened down now. So I don't know.
Has anybody tried the Grandia game on Steam?
I downloaded it on Good Old Games.
But there are actually quite a few Steam games. I realised this the other day, and I've been wanting to get into it and write a full list and a bit of an article on it. There are quite a few Dreamcast games on Steam that you can output at 4K natively if you're on your PC. So There you go.
Try it yourself. Yeah, just looking at Rice Digital, it is a pretty well-respected site, so, there might be some truth in this story, but then it might just be clickbait, so I'm sure we'll find out.
I don't think
soon.
There's any truth in it, but it might turn out to be true.
Well, if you put it together with the whole Shenmue
if that makes
HD...
sense. It may come to fruition, but I don't think they know anything about it that we don't. It could just be a lucky guess.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if you put that together with the whole Shenmue HD registration of the website URLs, then maybe there is some kind of truth in it all.
But didn't Sega say several years ago now they were working on it anyway? I'm sure there was some kind of thing from Sega at some point saying they were working on it.
From the Europe, wasn't it the European?
It was Dan Sheridan from Sega Europe said that they were looking into it.
Yeah, so basically,
or something.
And everyone on the Dreamcast groups and Shenmue pages got all excited about comment. That's meaningless. That means nothing.
Well, we can all speculate.
Shenmue fans, we've been dreaming. None of us thought Shenmue 3 would come out, so who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, let's not get too bogged down in that. Right, okay. Hopefully we've answered some good questions there, and people from the Facebook group are happy with those answers. We will ask again on the next episode, no doubt, for more questions, and also some that we didn't actually cover this time, which were quite good, but I think need a lot more in-depth discussion, and I didn't want to spend too long talking about one particular question over any others. But thanks very much for your questions. Right, guys, I think we've been waffling for long enough, and I think now is a good time to bring this one to a close. Unless there's anything anybody else wants to mention.
Nope.
Cool. Okay. And right then, let's bring this one to an end. Thank you very much for listening to the DreamPod. Of course, my name's Tom. That's Mike. We've got Ross and Caleb. We can all be found on social media, specifically on Twitter at various destinations. Mike, you can be found at
space_turnip.
Ross you're on Facebook and on the group. Caleb, you are on Twitter at.
I'm on Twitter, yes. But I'm also on YouTube under Blandco. Blandco. Interesting videos about the new proposed Lego set and all sorts of interesting stuff about D&D and miniatures, if you are interested.
Cool.
I have to give a shout out. My uncle has been having a rough time of it. He had a nervous breakdown, and the last time I saw him, he was trying to grill an avocado. So, if everybody give your good thoughts to him, because obviously he's dealing with some real serious stuff.
Cool. Okay, my thoughts go out to him.
But the Brevels can definitely do it.
Let's not get back into that.
Sorry.
Cool. I can be found on Twitter at Tom Lee C. We can all be found as a collective at the DC Junkyard. Also, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Dreamcast Junkyard. And of course, there is the actual blog itself, which is www.thedreamcastjunkyard.co.uk. Head there if there's any news stories that you'd like to steal and put on your own blog and not give any any reference to, then feel free. I will find you, though, and when I find you, I will kill you, to use a phrase. I won't really. I'll just bitch about you on Facebook. Right, that'll do for us. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks to everybody who donates $1 on Patreon to help us keep the server for this podcast going. You're all lovely, lovely people. And thank you very much for listening. We'll see you on the next one. Everyone say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.